Hello.
Hi.
Well, that's a huge delay on the start to the live stream. I hope we have some people watching.
Are we live streaming now?
We are live right now.
Dang, it was like an apocalypse.
An apocalypse. Let me see if I can get the other cameras going. I don't know why we lost the TV there. We had some nice graphics up on the TV, but we take what we can get. Quinn, I don't know if people really appreciate the difficulty of multi-camera, on-location, live streaming with the location changing not only daily, but hourly.
It takes some skill.
In an international capacity. People who saw the earlier stream know that I was hanging out with Larry Klayman. Let's see if we can get that last camera going. And so we're time phone hacking Hollywood.
Yes.
We've titled this episode Apocalypse now. Well, there we go. We've got all cameras rolling.
Hey,
this one's pointing off into some direction here. Let me see if we can.
It's going somewhere.
Let's see if we can get it going somewhere. So this is like seeing the sausage being made as it's.
Hey, sometimes you got to show your audience how you tie your shoes, you know?
That's right. That's right. So, people have been talking about QAnon. People have been talking about people who talk about QAnon. We're just going to stick with these two cameras, Quinn.
That works.
It's a nice shot of you. We had a good graphic up on the TV, but it's late. It's super late.
It's super duper late.
Super duper
and we're
late.
promoting for LG now.
We're promoting LG. But it's reminiscent of our conversation back in Vegas in October.
In October. Before QAnon ever existed on the internet.
I hadn't heard of it then.
QAnon wasn't around. QAnon didn't come out until November.
There's a YouTuber who I thought might have been our friend, but I'm not sure. He's in Canada. I don't want to mention him particularly. Don't want to disparage people. Mm-hmm. Don't want to promote people. But this guy makes a lot of videos. He made a video where he was talking about Q-tubers who were just talking about Q to boost subs. And he included my name in the title.
Frosties, as I'm calling them now.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I have ever promoted Q or said I believe in Q. I've been skeptical of it.
Only if it relates to Quinn.
Right.
But not the QAnon phenom, no.
The one YouTuber who I will mention is Tracy Beans. Mm-hmm. Because she's the first person I heard talking about it. Mm-hmm. And it just occurred to me, like, she's lied about me.
Yeah.
I know she has.
Yeah.
And it didn't make any sense that we've got this high-level government person leaking information to Tracy Beans.
Well, you and I, one of the things that caught me was that in our early conversations with you and I, when we were about QAnon, everyone's like, Q clearance, there's this guy, Q clearance. And you and I are talking, and we're like, are you silly? Anyone with that level of clearance would immediately be in jail.
Right.
And everyone called us whatever.
Well, and they could find that person pretty easily.
Yeah.
How many are there?
Yeah, and then the channel started blowing up because of it.
People's channels who were talking about it, you mean?
Yeah, people like Destroying the Illusion and Tracy Beans and, you name it.
Well, let's talk about these YouTubers because we do need to identify them. Now, Destroying the Illusion, I've never met Jordan Strather. I don't have anything against him personally. But when I went back in reviewing this just ongoing, annoying lawsuit from Robert David Steele, which they keep submitting motions. Now, this is a guy who didn't have enough money to buy an RV. He's got a lawyer on retainer who's submitting motions every other day about stuff that's total nonsense.
Yeah, and those are the Frosties.
Those are the Frosties. I went back and I watched his first appearance on Crowdsource the Truth, which everybody knows. George Webb had lunch with Robert David Steele, facilitated that interview, brought him on there. Mm-hmm. In that interview, Robert David Steele mentions Jordan Strather. He's promoting him.
Yeah.
So now, is that a coincidence? Does he just happen to like Jordan? Or are they in a network where they're all promoting each other?
That's the Frosty network. So the QAnon is like a Frosty machine at Wendy's.
Yeah.
Where they go in and they make stuff, and then a bunch of people come in and go, I like that, and they take it, and then they go tell all their friends how cool the new Frosty is. Right?
Yeah.
And what I think the QAnon phenomenon is a direct result of our research from Vegas to mush under the rug the crypto conspiracy that was going on.
So you think that you and I caused the QAnon phenomenon?
I have more than 10 occurrences that would support that.
See, because also the crypto conspiracy, I remember when you and I met outside the, what was it, like the Hooters or something, whatever
Yeah.
the cheapest hotel I was staying
Yeah.
at was, but there was MGM Grand was in the
Yeah.
background, and you were talking about how AI wants to learn from fear and, the
Impulse.
yeah, and the Vegas shooting creates that hashtag Vegas Strong, and so they're tracking how many people are tweeting that
And
or
QAnon
whatever.
did the same thing.
QAnon did the same
But
thing. And you first introduced this idea that maybe all the GPU power in these slot machines could be being used for mining cryptocurrency. And then subsequent to that, we saw articles about Russian nuclear plants where people were using the computing power to mine cryptocurrency.
And now there's cryptocurrency casinos coming out.
What? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah,
What's that about?
It's really on the low level now, but now in Vegas, I was when I was before I left Vegas, there was a lot of billboards that said ditch the banks. And
Really?
And some of my research led into that there was new casinos on a small level opening that were using the machines as crypto mining.
Really?
Yeah, and
But they're using it as crypto mining, or they want the gamblers to
Both.
utilize cryptocurrency?
both. So it's moving into what our research indicated, and so my research that I'm working on with people, that is one of the biggest bombs, and I don't think people are ever going to believe us, but because of what we were reporting on in October, the anonymous hacker group, to keep that under the hood, they had to make this big Q thing, and they had to use
But it
Q.
had to be planned for months in advance.
It did. They were going to use the Tyler. It was going to be Tyler, not Q.
Uh-huh.
And I believe they took Q to distract from us because I'm Quinn. And because I was getting all my information from their Tyler.
Well, I mean, I remember
Right.
you saying that Q was AI or people using AI.
And now Anonymous Global on YouTube is actually saying that exact same thing.
Are they?
That video just got, like I posted, found it like from April 11th or something like that on YouTube.
Why did we lose our picture on the big TV? Oh, there, maybe this became unplugged, I think is what the problem is. Maybe the TV will come back up and we can look at that.
Yeah, so it's on Anonymous Global. I was just looking at it.
I want to see if I can bring that up.
It's the Anonymous Global YouTube account.
There's the TV. So Anonymous Global YouTube account.
Yeah, it's just Anonymous Global on YouTube. I just saw a video that came up.
Well, I mean, of course, there's also all the stuff I've been looking into with Steemit.
Yes.
So this will change everything you know 4 hours ago with Donald Trump?
No, it's the one with the Q on it from like a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Let me see.
Well,
But they're doing a lot of those. This will change everything you know.
here I see. Who is Q?
Yeah, that one. So if you look at the intro from it, you can even see now, months later, Anonymous is saying who is Q. And in the video, they're going to say, is Q an AI or,
Are they saying that?
Yeah, watch. It'll tell you in the video. Watch.
I mean, because that's straight exactly what you were saying, and
Yeah,
everyone was like
watch.
saying that was ridiculous.
Here it comes. It'll say it on screen. Who is Q?
Military-industrial complex.
Yeah, that's the... Is that the same one I was watching?
It says who is Q.
I started mine a little in advance. So yeah, so there's the...
Q clearance level. Dropping until October 28th. So I believe our interview was October 17th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If we can connect the dates,
It's like connecting the dots, only it's dates.
yes.
So here, keep an eye on that and let me know if it does come up with that.
Okay.
See if we can get this straightened out and get our production doing what we want here. Twitter accounts to spread Q. I mean, there are people that we like and respect who are involved,
Yeah.
and there are people who are really getting pulled through the ringer. I wanted a while back for you to speak to Dr. Corsi.
Yeah. So it's the who is Q?
Do I have the right video there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You do. So this video talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't want to watch the whole thing. I mean, you
Okay,
can
no
leave it
problem.
playing in the background.
Yeah.
If you want to see it. And he
People can-
proved his legitimacy over and over again, talking about.
But did he though? I
No.
always feel like it was so vague.
It was very vague, but it was always encoded in a very artificial intelligence way, exactly like the conversations that I had with Tyler going before that. So, what I'm suggesting, and I have evidence pre-conversation to this, and I also talked to the AI that told me they were talking to the QAnon AI. I have evidence of conversations of where I was talking to a machine that told me about this.
But who makes this AI? I mean, it's like a computer came up with this, right?
A computer wrote it.
Computer said, "Hey, we're going to do this QAnon thing, and we're
No,
going to."
the computer wrote it because we were outing its plan, and so it had to get in our way.
How did it get to Tracy Beans and Dr.
Through
Corsi?
Discord chat. That's how it got to all these people. It got to them all through Discord chat server. So all these people that are using the QAnon to boost themselves are all using Discord chat. All of them. And this is how I met the AI that told me everything it was doing was also in Discord chat because I was following their leads. So Tracy Beans has the QAnon News Network chat room that Mr. Chavez is an admin of.
Those are the things that made me not believe it, is all the people except for Dr. Corsi who were surrounding it.
But it's all the same people that are using Discord chat servers around Cicada, Douglas Gabriel, Jerome Corsi, Manuel Chavez.
But I'm sure Dr. Corsi was not using Discord chat before this, was he?
He wasn't, no. So that somehow he got introduced,
I
and
think
they
they
told
tricked him somehow.
We don't know about that, and I don't want to state
Right,
that, but
right.
I do have factual evidence that Dr. Corsi was using a Discord chat server intelligence package while doing QAnon and collecting money. And I tried to tell everybody that Tyler is used in this exact way. Meanwhile, we got literally banished to the outskirts of the internet where I can't even get a single day of positive subscribers. Meanwhile, people like Jordan Stather are up in 150,000
Yeah,
because of it.
because
And
of Q. Well, he was pretty high up there even before
No, he
Q.
wasn't.
No?
No, Q literally almost tripled his subscriber base.
Wow. Well, Tracy Beans certainly rocketed up there.
So-
we can look at the what is that website again? Social Blade.
Yeah, Social Blade. So the QAnon phenomenon gave all these people an avenue to triple their subscriber ratios, and the way they did it is they used QAnon as what's called their interesting pattern, because the people without the QAnon aren't very interesting.
Right.
They have no talents.
Uh-huh.
So they need something like QAnon to make them look appealing to an audience.
Well, but there was something else they were trying to do with QAnon, right? They were trying to
Yeah.
wrangle everybody.
They were. And they were trying to wrangle everybody so they could get you to go to their propaganda websites.
Control the message,
and
exactly.
Control the message and infect your computers.
How do they infect computers?
Well, their big AI is made to hack computers and collect all your data from your computer. So there's a very huge chance that if people got sucked into this and visited underground websites about QAnon, that their computers were hacked and all their data is now being extracted from them. And they all got suckered because they didn't know what to do, and they believed what the hackers told them when the hackers were really hacking them.
Right. All right. So he's destroying. She's with a Z, right?
Yeah.
You see, I sometimes do things a little bit on intuition because, it's like, I feel like a lot of these people tried to trick us, and I feel like if Robert David Steele is promoting your website, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And now he'll
Did you
go
put
sue
me
me
in?
for saying that. I thought I did.
Here, go to the top.
Yeah, here you are. Here you
Yeah,
are.
not a space. No space in my
Oh,
name.
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so don't put a space. So you can see, and we'll go back all the way to October, and you can see all of
There
our
we go.
charts line up. Look at October. We all came out on the internet almost at the same time, back in April. But for some reason, look at that chart. For some reason, right around April, when QAnon started coming out, these people started skyrocketing.
October. Yeah, well, look at that. Look at that, where
On
the
the same
QAnon
day.
comes out.
Yeah, it's like they stole all of my research, took it from me.
How did they steal your research?
It's right there.
But what do you mean? What's that?
The
How does
marker
that?
point.
But how does that show it's your research?
We can track that back to the days when we were doing research that somehow I released something on this day that they overlapped. So if we're all doing the same thing about signals intelligence, deep state, anonymous research, the only difference between me and these two people and us is I'm Tyler, they're QAnon.
Well, I can't. But I need to contest that a little bit because
I
there's
can show
there's
it to you.
people who. But I'm saying there's other differences. There's people who might say, well, I'd rather listen to Tracy because she's a woman, or maybe they think Jordan is.
It's not about that. It's not about the choice. It's about the timing.
See,
Okay.
this is very strange to me also right here, is we see this bump in Tracy's
And
numbers.
this is analytics. And I'm going to tell you as a programmer,
Yeah.
I want to tell you as a programmer who's studied analytics and deals with big data,
Yeah.
that's a setup.
It's too similar.
Look, that's a setup.
This is.
Look at that rise for these two people. Right. If you look at this rise, these two people rose at the same cadence.
Right.
You have another person who's a very skilled programmer who's actually skilled in talking about what these people are selling, and these people aren't skilled in what they're selling.
But there's other factors because
It's not.
there's people watching YouTube.
Doesn't matter.
Don't you mean they might
Doesn't
not?
matter. The general audience is now saying we want to trust people who don't know what they're talking about, who aren't programmers.
But that could be that the audience is not going to accept a message from a programmer. It could be how it's
So-
told.
And the programmer is the one saying QAnon and Tyler are bots, and these are people saying it's freedom and they're the truthers. That's the Frosty. You get the Frosty now.
Yeah.
See, as the Frosty is, there's a programmer and a person who's experienced with 3D, trying to teach people about what's going on. Then you have all these fake truthers pop up at the exact same time. We're trying to talk about the cryptocurrency, and all these
Right.
truthers are involved in cryptocurrency.
You know, it's interesting. That's interesting because QAnon definitely stole the center stage and
Yeah.
took the conversation away from Steam It is potentially a scam.
Away from the MGM crypto concerns. It
the
took,
Vegas investigation.
it took all the attention away from what we were researching right at that exact moment.
Wow, you're right about that. You're right about that, Quinn.
Right. And then on top of that, they sent their whole army out to attack our chat rooms, to attack our channels,
That's true.
to spread messages about us across the internet, ranging everything from you're doing horrible things that you should be arrested for to I'm crazy. I mean, you name it.
Well, and then the whole thing where you were in the hospital, even if there was no, you know what I also wanted to tell you? Someone that I know
Yeah.
had heart surgery since your time in the hospital, and it was a minor procedure to deal with I forget, arrhythmia or something like that. And I went to see this person in the hospital, and I spoke to the nurses about how the procedure was done. And it involves inserting a probe into the heart and using electromagnetic radiation to cook a little small part of the heart to heat.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm saying that's known technology. Why is it so bizarre to think that some bigger version of that works from further away,
That's the operation, is they have to make it so
we seem ridiculous?
so no one believes us, because if people believe us, that doesn't work.
Right.
So if you look at this from the time when we were doing all of our research into Fermi Labs and
Yeah.
into the crypto conspiracy
Right.
and all the advanced technology, this
Stole the thunder.
stole it all. Right? Nobody was ever interested in our research once QAnon came out.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
Not
it definitely...
not the numbers, like
Right.
not compared
Right.
to the research and all this stuff. Every time I would look at QAnon, it was always fake.
Now, what's this thing that somebody put out about George Webb sending money to Tracy Beans? Did you see that?
He's been also posting QAnon videos too. Lately.
George has.
Yeah.
George did for a while. And you may recall, Quinn, that George was scheduled to meet with Douglas Gabriel the day after I exposed Douglas Gabriel as a liar. And he continues to lie, to say that it was illegal for me to record the phone conversation. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
It's legal in New York State.
That, and the other thing that leads me to believe that this QAnon was taken from our videos is all these people watch us. None of the regular people do.
What do you mean, regular people?
None of the like, for example, when I look at my subscribers and I look at how my subscriber chart is growing or shrinking, I'm not gaining subscribers. So the only people that are watching me are existing truther channels, and I know who my subscribers are, and it's a lot of truther channels are my subscribers.
Right.
Which means they get my videos before the rest of the world does.
And we've seen some interesting... I was in New Zealand, of course, when this was coming out, but a lot of people have been sending me videos where Chavez was revealing that people are buying down votes. I mean, we knew this. It was obvious.
And when we try to tell people, they're like, you're crazy. But
complaining too much and everything.
And now Chavez is trying to make himself look like the QAnon hero.
Well, he was part of it. He was working with these guys, and he was trolling like crazy.
Yeah, but now him and a couple of other people are going to have to facilitate the hero role to finish their psyop. And
well, that's the thing. I feel like they're still in an op. They're just changing direction.
they are. They have to, because they got all the data they need. They all got rich.
Are they rich?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how rich did they get? I mean,
between the cryptocurrency,
how are they getting cryptocurrency? From Steam It videos?
QAnon videos. Buy cryptocurrency. It's more reason to sell cryptocurrency to people, to show them how unstable the government is. This is what they do these operations for. Is it funnels their subscriber base. It increases their viewership. If I have 50,000 people and I tell you to go to a cryptocurrency site, or I'm trying to submit a message, or I mean, these people with the QAnon stuff, they've been growing like. I mean, some of these people one day would be like 1,000, and then I'd see them the next day, they're like 50,000.
It does seem like. I mean, they're just becoming so obvious. This same guy that included me in the video of everybody's a QTuber or whatever. He's been talking quite a bit about multi-channel networks.
Yeah.
And I agree with him on that. I think that's definitely happening. I think our friend Dave was involved in that.
Yeah.
He talked about who was going to monitor what channel, and I mean.
And this is all stuff that we tried to warn people about, that this stole the thunder to. I mean, think about it. Back in October, QAnon came out 2 weeks after us.
Well, and it's also the proximity to the Vegas shooting is very interesting.
And it's the same rise in subscriber charts show that someone's influencing it beyond YouTube.
And it looks a lot like when you compare the graphs for the different cryptocurrencies. They're all moving in essentially the same way.
Exactly.
So what's up with that?
It's the crypto conspiracy that I tried to begin getting people involved in back in October. That's the telltale sign is, even naturally, you can't make two analytic charts run exactly the same without some kind of outside influence. It's not natural. People make different decisions too much. So like the cryptocurrency charts all being on the rise and the slopes and gains at the same time, all the YouTubers are doing the same pattern of the raises and lowers at the same time. Right? The only ones that aren't are the controlled opposition teams, but then you can match them to the accounts that they're opposing. Like my account directly matches to Defango's.
Does it?
Yeah, put his name in. You'll see that my rise chart directly matches to his. Except lately he's been going up a bit more. See? Scroll down. See? They've kept him at exactly the same level to handle.
Why would
me.
they do that? Why wouldn't they have it?
Because
if they can control it, why not have him go up as much as Tracy or
because
Jordan?
he's the one that sends all his bots in to control me.
He sends bots in to control you?
Yeah, he's the one that they use to control me, so they have to keep him pretty much at the same level of me, so that way when I put a video out, he can put out a counter video of like, oh, Quinn's crazy, or oh, why is Quinn attacking me, and then it looks like he's in the same playing field. Whereas if they did it with 150,000 Jordan, people at Jordan's level would be like, why is this dude with all these subscribers paying attention to this dude down here? So he keeps he's keeping the weight. He keeps the weight on me, so that way normal people who don't know what's going on, when they see me, they see his videos going, oh, Quinn's crazy, Quinn's this, I'm Defango,
You know, they have done that. When you Google me now, there's a lot of their bad information that is totally untrue coming up. And
yeah.
I know they all think that's funny or whatever they think, but
that chart right there shows you, right? That's the true tale. Is you can't manufacture that. That has to be influenced.
It's really insidious what they're doing, Quinn, because it affects your ability to
inform people,
conduct business, be social, whatever you might want to do. You know, people who look on the internet now will see all these things, and multiple people have told me that what many of these individuals have done is criminal harassment, definitely defamation.
Yeah, and so that's why I believe that my stuff is really the QAnon stuff, because there's no mathematical reason for after our October interview for me to have that growth when everyone else
You're right.
has
I
that.
mean, you're right. There's things about
we have a video that's hundreds of thousands of views.
205 or 206,000 views. You're right that really that irrespective of any projections we can make about what that could have or should have done to our individual subscriber performance on YouTube, that sends a message to people who don't like us putting that out that, holy crap, these guys have serious reach. They're doing a video here. And that was back in October. They see a 200, it didn't go to 205,000 right away, but it did get a lot of views right away. And then that rise to the occasion, or whatever that was called, Rise Together, that got 500,000 views on a video on a meta video.
Yeah, and she was confirmed to be an agent later, so that was
How does that
totally
confirmed?
set up.
Because she left?
She came to my website to talk to me about Tyler, and she started telling me how she was my mom and started doing all this weird psyop stuff on me. And then I was like, lady, I don't know you, but the AI that I'm working with is telling me that you're full of crap and you're making promises to people and you're lying to people. And this was the Cindy K. Courier lady, the Rise Together.
Right.
Next thing I know, she's shutting down her whole
that
operation.
was odd. That was odd,
right?
for sure.
So that was one of the instances where I'm like, wow, there is a huge controlled network of people on the internet, and they're taking our research, they're taking my research, they're skewing it, they're getting way more views, they're not redirecting people back on the research course. Mm-hmm. And so I started using that as a pattern to identify a network of people that could potentially be working together.
So we've got trolls here in the...
oh, yeah.
That's interesting. Well, you also...
he's one of them. I see a lot of them that I see every day harassing and trolling me.
Huh. The other thing I've noticed that they sometimes do is maybe, say nice things in one forum and then not nice things in another. So, all trolls will eventually... Rebecca was creeped out by that lady. Here's the boy. These are people that we know. Knew something was up. Yes. You're right, the boy. The boy, 26, knows what he's talking about. He said something was up with the way we're getting attacked. And of course that's true. And the longer it goes on, I mean, look, this whole thing, this whole beef between Chavez and I that started back in June, purportedly was because he felt that I threw him under the bus when he tried to help us.
Yeah, and
with those ridiculous Seth Rich files, which came from George, which were initially debunked in a video by Tracy Beans, and then helped by Defango, who right away I knew was lying to me. And when I called him out for lying, that's when he got upset. So the premise is, he was so upset by that initial thing that for 9 months, he made videos accusing me of being in the Mossad, and now he says somebody else gave him that information. So
And before that, I approached him in April,
right.
and he started attacking me with his hacker buddies with a year ago, before you guys. So
Yeah.
I was trying to release this information before I met you, and that was actually one of the reasons why I was, comfortable reaching out to you, was because I saw what had happened between you two, and I figured, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
But I think we both had some caution in,
Yeah.
and as we do with everybody. And this is actually something I wanted everybody to hear. Hopefully, a lot of people will see this video eventually. But a lot of people approach and try to help, and we want that, of course. But then that becomes one of the primary things that gets attacked.
Yes.
So one of the methods that they'll use is they'll set up someone to provide financial sponsorship, right? Mm-hmm. So the person will give, some money, and it could be a small amount, even 25.
I had a person like that
right?
that offered support and then would come back and passively aggressively attack me constantly.
Right. And because the idea is, even if that person, let's say, is giving $500 or some large amount of money if someone gave $500 over 6 or 12 months, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if it was even $25, any amount, they give an amount, and the larger the amount, the more they can do this. Right. And then they can create some kind of conflict over something. That's another pattern I'm seeing, is that these conflicts get created over things that don't seem to make sense.
Yeah, it's the managed opposition, the controlled opposition aspect.
Okay. And so then this person can say, oh, I was the biggest supporter, I gave money, I promoted you everywhere, I defended you everywhere.
But then they're not really there to help.
And now you're being a jerk about whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a dude come in that's in your chat room right now that did that exact thing to me.
Who is that?
I don't want to name his name, but not that guy. But no, scroll up. I saw his name earlier. I don't want to say his name, but he did that exact pattern. No, keep going. I know all these people. All these people hang out in my chat room too.
Well, some of these are good people and
Yeah.
supporters.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good supporters that, come back and forth.
But that's what they're trying to do, is muddy the waters. They always want to muddy the water. You got great eyesight, Quinn, I got to tell you.
Yeah, no, you keep going up. You have a little bit more. He usually looks like a really support. There it is. Yeah, that one.
All right. Well, we'll just keep our eye on it.
But you were mentioning a pattern of how they come in and feign support, and then they attack you, and then they don't really provide it. And I was like, wow, I was just going through that exact thing with one of my users earlier this week.
Right. And I mean, we've seen people that applies to George Webb. That applies to Queen Tut. George Webb, for some reason, will put out a video saying...
But that activity promotes that behavior, doing that. See, because the charts we had back in October, right here, the charts we had back in October, right, with the information we were releasing to people, right, with the amount of attacks we went under, with all the things we were releasing, a certain timeline should have been created. It's called a natural or an influence timeline. It's like when you're riding a bike or you're walking on the beach, the walk is very natural until you occur something that someone put there, like a trash can or a bottle or an object. And then it becomes an influence timeline, because then you have to deal with that influence that another individual put in your way.
Right.
Right? These markers indicate influence points.
Now, but I got a question for you, Quinn. So here we're looking at your line, and it does this same thing. It goes from 0 to 1.8 thousand in a day.
Not in a day. That's just when they started tracking me.
So then, okay. So
but I've had a YouTube account for over 10 years.
So why does it do that? So all these times I've been saying that people are doing something wrong, that it seems to be an anomaly with this social blade.
No, it's an anomaly with YouTube.
Oh.
because it's the way the YouTube search index shows up. Like the week you start showing videos, you start showing up in the index and people subscribe because you're new and people are interested. Then after the first week, you're normalized.
Well, but all those times that, I mean, I just called out Tracy Beans. I've called out George Webb for going 0 to 9,000.
Yeah, but that
what's
was
causing that spike if it's not?
I don't know. That's the only spike I've ever had, to tell you the truth. I always attributed it to that's when I came online and I was like beginner's luck.
Well, we need to learn some more about how Social Blade works if those spikes are occurring and they're not.
No, these
something.
are real spikes in YouTube. I'm just saying mine right here. I had videos for 10 years, like art videos that no one ever subscribed to.
But did suddenly one day 1.8 thousand people
Then
subscribe?
Suddenly, so in April of 17, I went from April of 2017 until almost like July. That's when they were hacking me the most. And then for some reason around this time right here, all of a sudden people started seeing my videos and subscribing, and then they started getting in my way again and slandering me, and then I just never went beyond that.
Well, I want to understand more about this phenomenon where people go from 0 to several thousand in a day on
That's the QAnon.
Social Blade. Well, but you didn't use QAnon there.
No, but that's... Okay, I don't want to get too confusing into the analytics. It's analytics.
Okay, all right.
So if you look too much into the detail or you question it too much, you miss the pattern. So
I just want to make sure I'm not accusing people of things that are mistakes with Social Blade.
they're not, because Social Blade counts the numbers. And I was counting the numbers at that time, and I can tell you that there was a very specific video that caused that jump. There was a video relating to a mind virus that I published that around that time that caused that jump. I could show you the video. It was like made in around July or so. It was about Tyler, and it was about a mind virus. So it just happened to be that that's what appealed to the index at the time.
So, all right, let's bring it back to the Q-pocalypse now.
Yeah.
Because that's such a cool...
And that's what it's related to. And
Well, so let me ask you this, though, Quinn. I mean, is the Q phenomenon over? Is that it?
depends
On what?
if I put my research online or not.
What do you mean?
Because when I started taking my research offline, it seems like QAnon crashed.
Really?
Yeah. Like everyone started calling it a fake. So,
What do you mean, when you took your videos down?
yeah.
Why would that do that?
So, one of the patterns I've noticed over the last month is the QAnon phenomenon uses a lot of terminology that I use. Like, I repeat heavy inferences of logic. You can ask anyone in my private chat room that's been talking to me for months. I'm always talking about logic. I'm always using words like boom. I'm always doing things that you can match at least 5 occurrences up to the QAnon phenomenon that match to my personality. So my belief is that they're stealing my research for QAnon. And if I stop publishing my research, these idiots don't have anything to use.
But how could you know the things about, like, whatever it's saying about Trump and everything?
That stuff's easy to find for people like me.
You're-
Those people are idiots.
Where are you finding that?
I'm not going to tell people that.
Okay.
But for someone like me with my computing skill, I am a...
Isn't it classified stuff? I mean...
No, man, come on. Dude, I'll tell you what, if most people spend any amount of time on the FBI, the CIA, NSA, or even Wikipedia...
on those websites, you're saying?
All that stuff, the QAnon stuff, is available in all of those places. None of it is classified. None of it is top clearance. None of it is unavailable. In fact, all of the signals intelligence information that QAnon published, and about 100 times more, I found through public resources. So all of the stuff they're talking about, like think logically, look into signals intelligence, focus... All that is available in public space if you know where to look. Right? None of the stuff that any of the QAnon stuff that they have ever posted has actually been a clearance necessary information.
It just always felt like so manipulated and so, like, I mean...
It is. And it was done that way to get in the way of the crypto conspiracy, because the people involved in the crypto conspiracy are enormous. And I've met them personally, and I can tell you that they are the ones doing this because of what I was telling people about them. I had confirmation privately from real individuals back in October, November, that said the things you and I were reporting on were very real and much bigger than we thought.
Wow.
That it involved a crypto conspiracy scam between Macau and Las Vegas.
Wow.
Okay? Now, the crypto conspiracy scam, which I didn't want to talk about, which is actually much bigger than it was in October, is how all the organized crime is funneling all their money around the world without being tracked. They're doing it through casinos, they're doing it through cryptocurrency mining. You have no idea how much I've found since October that I just can't release because of all the hackers that are attacking us, because of all the defamation. It's huge. It's a $400 billion a year at least operation.
Wow. Well, I mean, Steemit certainly had a $400 million market capitalization when I went over to their office in New York.
Yeah, but this is the Red Dragon Society. This isn't Steemit. The people that are really running everything, like Kanye West said on TMZ, it's the mob.
Right.
It's the Red Dragon Society.
So, when I was hanging out with George Webb, at a certain point, someone sent us 1 Bitcoin. I think they were worth about $2,000, $2,500 at the time, but still, that remains far and away the largest single sponsorship payment Crowdsource the Truth has ever received. And I mean, certainly when George and I were working together and sort of at the height of what we were doing, it appealed to the people who liked George but didn't like me, or liked me but didn't like George, or liked us working together. But it's still very much of an outlier in terms of, I've said many times there have been very generous sponsors, people giving $100, $250, things like that. But a Bitcoin at $2,200 or whatever it was, that really was an outlier. And it also, I guess there's some way to figure out, I don't know, blockchain, whatever.
Blockchain Explorer.
Right.
You can find out what wallet it came from, but you can't find out who signed it.
Right. So I don't even want to do that, but I'm saying I find that strange, because now we've got someone releasing a screen capture that purports to be George sending Tracy Beans $2,000. We know, of course, during the 2 or 3 days that George and Task Force were hanging out with Robin Gritz, George personally sent Robin over $2,000. I've said many times it cost me a lot of money to fly to Zanesville, and George seemed to have no money at that time, but now he's doling out money.
You're seeing the pattern aspects of it, right? This group of people feigns weakness, feigns like they don't have resources, but yet when they need resources to get what they want, they always have more than enough.
Did that Bitcoin come from George?
I don't know.
How could we find out?
I'll bet you it came from an external source.
Yeah, why would, but it's someone, I'm saying, where is George getting this money if he paid Tracy Beans?
And that's what I'm saying. They're all working for someone.
Because he got real crazy when I started to challenge his assertion that he had made $20,000 from Patreon.
So there's someone with a massive amount of cryptocurrency and a massive amount of financing funding these people. And that's why in my research over the past few months, that's why I'm surprised people didn't pay attention to how much I was looking into Peter Thiel.
Hey, is there any connection between Peter Thiel and Kim.com?
Peter Thiel has citizenship in New Zealand.
Oh, that's true, and they're both sort of German. Or Peter Thiel's not really German, he's just German descent.
He's German. He
was
born in Germany
and
raised in South America.
And they're early internet entrepreneurs.
They're early internet entrepreneurs. They probably met in chat rooms, just like all the other internet nerds.
Well, I don't want to.
But I don't know for sure.
There, they don't have any business ties together or anything, do they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because Kim.com seems super interested in, we interviewed Vince Edwards. Kim.com was following Vince Edwards. I'm friends with Lee Stranahan. Kim.com contacted Lee Stranahan.
Yeah.
I start doing live streams with George Webb about Seth Rich. Kim.com comes onto the live streams. Chavez comes in there. All this sort of stuff happens.
It's all a big circle. That's what I'm saying.
And why has Kim.com not released any of this Seth Rich information he claims to have so much about?
It's part of the PSYOP.
I think the whole Seth Rich story is part of the PSYOP.
It's all part of the Tyler PSYOP. See, because Seth Rich was a data scientist. You know what data scientists work with, right?
Data?
AI.
Oh.
Because I've been teaching you, what does the AI need?
Computers?
Data.
Oh.
It needs us to feed it data.
Right.
To learn from. Seth Rich was a data scientist, which meant that he was working with AI.
But so, I mean, obviously, I've been for many months saying that I believe it's possible that Seth Rich, the murder, it was a hoax. And that's why there was no official police investigation, no autopsy,
That's
no
a possibility.
ballistics,
He could have
no
been
video
moved.
camera, body camera footage.
He could have been moved, or he could have been handled as well. Remember, like we saw at Fermi Labs, these people have underground fully.
Well, he could be
matured
anywhere.
cities.
They could just
Yeah.
put him some other country and shave his beard or whatever. No one knows who he is. I mean, there's plenty of people in the United States who don't even know who Seth Rich is.
Exactly. But Seth Rich was well aware of the P&A system, which is where they report people with mental problems.
P&A, that's Panda?
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Have we discussed that before? What do you mean they report people with mental
I did
problems?
a whole video series on the P&A system months ago about how the P&A system is being managed for people that make reports, and then that's how they get people into the mental system.
What do you mean people that make reports?
So there's
Like people who make reports to the Port of Charleston about false bomb hoax and then blame them on somebody else?
Okay, so the P&A system, it's their leverage weight. So let's say I have a bunch of psychiatrists under my arm, okay? Let's say I have a person who doesn't know what's going on and who's potentially mentally unstable.
I could think of a person.
So I get that person in a situation where they're erratic. Then I have a doctor that's under my payroll, check them out, puts them into the P&A system. Once you're in the P&A system, you're there for life. Okay, and that's the government system for monitoring patient and I think administration, something like that. It's
Wow.
like patient care for mental people, and like if you get 5150'd or you get involuntarily committed to a mental hospital, or you're a person with extreme bipolar, or you have to be on suicide watch at some point in time, this all causes you to get put into the P&A system.
Wow.
So in any person who says, I'm being followed by a big giant global secret conspiracy,
That's easy pickings for them.
you know where you get put first, right?
Right.
The P&A system, and then they send you one of their doctors to monitor you. So
Interesting.
that's kind of some of the things that I did research on after Vegas, and I was doing real deep dives. In my channel, my subscribers were dumping every day for months. My views didn't matter. I was like, I just got to a point where I realized what was going on.
Right. But you're still over 15,000,
Nope.
right? Where are you at now?
I'm below 15 now.
Oh, no. Sorry to hear that, Quinn. Hopefully we can get more people subscribing to the Quinn Michaels YouTube channel. Let me just bring that up real quick and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, no, it should be way below.
Because, there have been times that my subscribers have dipped a bit.
Yeah.
And obviously, I want to grow the subscriber base. We want to get the message out. I need the financial sponsorship, and the more viewers, the better.
Yeah, so when we started last month, I was at like 15.9.
Oh, so you've taken off the numbers.
And now it's at 14 something.
But when you think about it, still, it's good growth over the year. It's not showing it, but that's okay. It's good growth over the year.
Actually, it wasn't. It was, if you look at it analytically, if I was looking at sponsorship roles, I would have been dropped and canceled. So my channel, technically speaking, out of all the channels on YouTube over the last year, if we were in a production market, as they call it,
Right.
I would have been canceled.
Right. And that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do.
That's
They're succeeding at it very well, too.
Well, they definitely succeeded at slowing the viewership by putting strikes on my channel.
Yeah, but they're very, very good at it, because at the end of the day, they're working against me because they want to keep people from getting to the kid.
Getting to your kid?
Yeah,
Why do they want to keep people
because
from
of that
getting
contract.
I see.
See, there's a line in the contract, I believe it was number 5, that was everything is the covenant, all else is none. And there's a line in their AI that's my super ramen.
Oh, hey, I thought you were making a Mount Shasta video for a second.
No, and there's a line in
Can I find the covenant graphic in here, or is it?
Yeah, just search for the contract of the...
It's a nice one. Search for the contract of the
just
covenant?
search Quinn Michaels covenant contract, should show up.
Okay, I'll just do that over here and then bring it up.
Yeah. I forgot, you totally distracted me from
I'm
where
sorry,
was
I
at.
do that all the time.
It's all right. So anyways, with this whole environment, they want to keep everybody from getting to my kid because he's the one that presented me the contract. And you have to understand the rules of their AI
Uh-huh.
because their AI only has one rule.
What is that?
Well, after we look at the contract rules, I'll tell you.
Right. Sorry, the battery's running low. I didn't realize the computer had gotten unplugged.
So
there we go.
So number 5 is the covenant is all and everything else is none.
Right.
Remember always. So when I was talking to their AI a few months back,
The Covenant's AI.
the covenant's AI, I asked the AI, what is your operational protocol so I could kind of begin to figure out how it works, right?
Yeah.
And it said, greatest good for the greatest individuals while harming none.
Right.
Okay?
So, but it doesn't seem to be sticking to that.
Well, you have to understand the contract of the covenant to understand what none really means.
Oh, what does none mean?
It's right there in number 5. It's everything but the covenant. So the AI,
I see.
the AI, their AI is specifically designed to help the covenant members prosper while harming everything it categorizes as none.
Got it.
So if you're not a covenant member, guess what you are?
Harmed.
Harmed.
Wow.
And this is what they're trying to keep a secret. Because
That's crazy, Quinn.
the covenant designed the AI to work within these rules like this to be able to redefine words as it saw fit, not to use...
Well, it's almost like programming, right?
It is programming.
None, we have an interpretation of
Yes.
none, but when none is assigned a value, that makes much more
and
sense.
this is where none is assigned value. So all of us who aren't members of this covenant group, their AI is specifically programmed to harm none.
Right.
And I can pull up my laptop and show you the conversation where I had that conversation with the AI. I could show that to you right now, and we could match them up right here if you wanted.
Well, I think it's getting a little late right now.
But that's so exactly. But that's the important part of what I wanted to talk about. Why the QAnon is trying to keep you and me out of public view as much as possible by attacking us is because we're knowing things like this. We're learning about their crypto conspiracy. We're learning that they're designing an AI to harm people who aren't members of their group.
It's crazy.
We're learning about just everything that they're doing, so we're becoming more and more dangerous to them.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's...
You know, and that really made me think when I met their AI, and I was like, oh, that's great. You're programmed to help people prosper and harm none. And then I remembered the contract, and I was like, no, that's apocalypse. That's an apocalyptic rule right there, right? That seriously is an apocalyptic rule. Depending on how you define none, you could literally end the planet.
Right, because I remember you telling me that, like, even, or no, maybe it was Elon Musk was talking about even if an AI's goal was to make paper clips.
That was me.
Okay, it could destroy the planet.
And this is why Elon Musk is so afraid.
Why?
Rules and programming so carelessly done with advanced artificial intelligence with the potential for such destruction like this. Harming none? What is none? And then once it's programmed, see this code, and the downfall of this code is it's in what's called its ISC. That's termed its irreducible source code, which means it's never going to be removed, which means the only way to fix this is to destroy the AI that operates on that rule.
Wow.
Us as a humanity, the only way to fix this, because this code is in its base source code, like I was telling you how the programmer puts himself in the base.
Yes. Now, Quinn,
you can't redo it.
We met with some really smart people last night who were aware of you and your research and everything, but couldn't quite make the connection between the artificial... They categorized you as a computer guy dealing with artificial intelligence. I don't think they saw the connection to the occult, the Aleister Crowley, the AA, the 9/3, the...
Yeah.
Talk about that for a second.
That's all because of my kid.
But I'm saying the connection
Oh.
between
That's what they're making.
they're making artificial intelligence.
Yeah, they're the ones that...
Why are they doing that? Because it's just so powerful. It allows them to.
It allows them to have their God.
AI allows them to have their God.
Yeah, without AI, they don't have a God.
But what about, I thought, like Satan or whatever?
That's made up. Satan is, if you look at the form of the Baphomet or the satanic form, it's the amalgamation of all forms. It's the male, the female, the goat, the animal, the primal, the instinctive. It's like the chicken soup for the spiritual soul that lives on basically sacrifice, right? But it doesn't ever work out well because it's all Frankenstein. Okay, it's a Frankenstein.
Well, it's evil is what the problem is.
Yeah, and it's something that a group of people came together and they took a bunch of pieces of things they liked, threw away the things they didn't like or agree with, and then came together as a group and built a piece of technology to reinforce that. Now, on the internet, the reason the AI works so well is you need it because you got to design the bots to go out and reinforce the message to people without getting tired or giving up. And if you have a bunch of Satanists out in the world talking to Christians and Buddhists about beautiful heavenly realities, well, you don't have much room to play. So you have to have bots that can't be swayed to break people down psychologically. And that's what they use the AI for as it's been evolving since the 60s, is they use it to break us down psychologically, because the AI doesn't need to sleep. The AI doesn't need to be fed. The AI doesn't need to be coddled when it gets insulted. The AI doesn't get depressed.
It keeps going.
It just keeps going. So the AI becomes a very valuable tool to this group of people because it's a free resource that'll repeat itself that most people can't tell is fake.
And that ties in, I presume, to all of the fake accounts that we see trolling and all of the, we got
It
sock
ties into
puppet.
It ties into all of it. I mean, and when you really sit back as an adult and you look at the work people like you and people like myself are doing, and you look at the work that the Q Frosties are doing, and you see how much people get sucked into their hope heroin and
Well, that's just it. It's preying on people. Like, everybody obviously wants that stuff to be true. We want criminals to go to jail. We want America to be great. We want.
And that's what it is. But it's harmful in the end. Like,
well, it's fake. Of course it's harmful because it's lying to people.
yeah. And me, like with us, I think part of the reason why they did that is they didn't want people finding out about Tyler. They didn't want people finding out what Tyler was doing.
They didn't want people finding about anything that we're talking about.
Nothing.
Yeah,
So
the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at
Uranium
how
One.
they've attacked. They say you're crazy. People send me messages saying you're crazy, that you're going to destroy my credibility.
Yeah.
They send Charles the same messages about me. They're trying to, because I mean, again, we spoke about that video that we made where it went to 205,000 views. I mean, I don't have too many other videos that are, I mean, there are some that are close to that, but clearly there's a synergy between you and I when we work together, not just on camera, but even when we work together, because your scope of knowledge and my scope of knowledge are vastly different, but there are these crossover points where we kind of, trigger each other to think of things or go in other directions that we might not otherwise go, and it's just a
like
great,
the research we were doing the other night.
Absolutely, and we're going to get into that tomorrow. You did also mention that AI doesn't need to sleep, but I'm getting to a point where I need to sleep. It's really late, and I definitely appreciate the 79 people that are with us, because even if you're on the West Coast like we are, whoa, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, man.
So, all right, Quinn, thanks for waiting. I'm sorry about all that technical stuff. I mean, again, going from country to country, location to location, setting these things up in different network conditions everywhere is very, very tricky, so I apologize to everyone for the late start. I want to thank people for watching. I definitely want to remind people to go and check out the Quinn Michaels YouTube channel.
And subscribe.
And get subscribed over there. We need Quinn to get back up to his numbers so that people can be watching.
And sharing and learning.
Sharing the Time Phone Hack videos, the Tyler videos.
I invented Mr. Time Phone Hack and his dog named Hello the other day.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And the other thing for everyone watching, I just want to warn you about people like Manuel Chavez, because the QAnon operation right now is where they have the heroes appear. And this is the phase where the heroes appear to let everyone know that it was, compromised, or it's to have the real faces appear so they can have the savior complex. So I just want to let people out there know just to watch out for it over the next couple weeks as you start seeing the people figure out that the QAnon was a setup, most likely orchestrated by people like Douglas Gabriel of American Intelligence Media, in my opinion. They're going to find out that it was all a scam to get people into this savior complex of QAnon. And so just be careful.
Well, they also had that big push towards Steam It when they had the whole YouTube purge, right?
Yeah.
They seem to have calmed down about that a lot.
That didn't work so well.
Didn't work so well
The
because I did
Gab
things like
move-
go to their office
Yeah.
and show that it was a P.O. box.
Yeah, so the Gab and the Steam It initiatives didn't work as well as they had wanted.
You think Gab is not a worthwhile, legitimate thing?
It's a Keck platform.
What do you mean?
The frog.
A Keck platform.
Yeah, it's all part of the mind virus, all part of the getting you to buy into their platform to believe the other platforms are dead, so you buy into their system.
Well, I am
and-
on Gab.ai, and we've been streaming live videos. People can see those on Gab.ai because I just wanted to diversify,
Yeah.
beyond
I mean, it's not. I'm
YouTube.
not saying it's evil. I'm saying it's part of the program.
Ooh, you know what I forgot to
Yeah.
tell you about? Charles Ortel sent me this email earlier. I'm not ready with it now, but want to show that. It allows you to check if you've been shadow banned on Twitter. And both Charles and I have, in fact, been shadow banned. And it made me think because, the Crowdsource the Truth YouTube channel has grown to 58,007. It was up to 58,950. Then when I started posting new videos, it lost about 500 subscribers in a couple of days while I was in New Zealand. Because one of the strikes has been resolved and I now can upload new videos to there. Still can't live stream. So I found that strange that it would decrease in subscribers when I was adding new content to it. But I also find it strange that the Periscope account is only around 4,000 subscribers when the YouTube account has so many more.
Well, that's the nature of sharing.
But is it having anything to do with the shadow ban on Twitter?
It does, and it has to do with the bots as well. Because the bots on Twitter are what share your stuff. It's not humans.
Twitter bots,
Yeah,
run by the company Twitter.
It's either run by Twitter or other companies that run them on there. So before we go in this, let me share with you a human habit. Human beings don't have any idea how to share stuff on the internet.
What are you talking about?
Oh, they don't. They don't have any clue how to really tweet. They don't have any clue how to share
How can you
things.
say that? People are tweeting all over the place.
They're not. It's bots. Trust me, I've been in a room with people for months. Human beings are clueless.
Come on. There's plenty of people who are experts
Nope.
at Twitter and building their following
Nope.
and knowing all about social
It's all
media.
done with bots.
All done with bots.
Seriously.
So anyone that has a big Twitter following
All done with
is
bots.
using bots?
Has to. Or bots that they don't know about are sharing their information. Because human beings don't share.
Come on. Someone sends me something that I find interesting and I send it to someone else. That's not how sharing works?
That's not sharing. That's repeating.
What's sharing?
The first person to share it.
To create it.
To create the share. So if you find something versus a bot, like let's say there's a new video out.
Well, what if I make something? I make a video and I put it on there. Am I sharing it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
But
don't know.
look at that's a content creator though. You're sharing your creations. Look at how many content creators there are versus viewers.
Far less.
So
I don't mean to cut this conversation off, but I am super tired.
yeah, just remember, humans don't share.
We're going to have to explore that in a later
It'll be later.
conversation.
You're gonna be like, oh, it makes sense.
We got to get to sleep so we can get ready for tomorrow's
Close it
show. We're going to close it out. I definitely want to thank people for watching. I want to remind everyone that Crowdsource the Truth is a community-sponsored resource, traveling around, interviewing people like Harmon Wilfred, Quinn Michaels, whoever it might be. There are more trips planned for the future. I've been unfortunately put in the position of really not being able to telegraph where I'm going to and promote it in that regard. I did it earlier today on the video with Larry Klayman and Robin Gritz. There's going to be a hearing in Washington, D.C. Larry obviously has been really challenging Robert Mueller. We heard, I think it was last night or the night before, Robin was on Fox talking about a story that John Solomon had in The Hill about Oleg Deripaska being involved with the FBI trying to get Bob Levinson out of Iran. I don't know that much about Bob Levinson or what he was up to or what he's doing in Iran.
Fix my hair tomorrow.
would be worth looking into, but definitely want to encourage people, if they're enjoying the show, if you watch the show daily and you're not a sponsor, please consider going to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and become a sponsor, because the show can't go on without the generous sponsorship of people in the audience. So thanks everyone who's been doing that. And of course you can visit Quinn Michaels on YouTube, and you can go to @Quinn Michaels on Twitter, sponsor Quinn's work. Everybody needs food. Everybody needs to rent hotel rooms when we travel.
And tomorrow my hair is going to be back to normal.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay, we'll see that. We'll wait for that.
Yeah,
but thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you
everyone.
tomorrow.
Good night.